Good evening, everyone. With the time being 6:00 p.m. on Tuesday, August 19th, 2025, I will call this meeting of the Webster School Committee to order and ask that we stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Welcome back, everyone. It looks like a full house in here this evening. It's great to see everyone. So to recap, most of the committee had tours of the buildings earlier this evening. How did those go, everybody that was there? Things look good?
Looks good.
Great.
Our custodial staff does an excellent job.
I'm always impressed with the condition of our buildings. Sorry I missed the tours tonight, but glad to hear that they're looking just as good as ever. So as a reminder, actually, before we get underway, this meeting is being recorded both video and audio and will be posted on the district website. And the first item on the agenda is the discussion and approval of the minutes from the July 22nd meeting. Is there any discussion around those minutes? Hearing none, I'll entertain a motion to approve them.
So moved.
Second.
There's a motion and a second. Desiree, would you please pull the committee?
Yes.
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 Yes, motion passes. And the next item on the agenda is the superintendent's report. Good evening, Mrs. Perangeli.
Good evening, thank you. And I do want to give the custodians a shout out for all of their hard work and the building principals for everything that is done over the summer. It's not like our buildings sit empty over the summer. Many of them are utilized, big parts of our building are utilized. We spent, the middle school hosted the high school and the middle school this year because of all the construction work going on here, so that kind of sets the guys behind. But when you walk in there tonight, it's still, it might not be up to their standards of where they'd like it to be, but it looks wonderful and it looks ready for school. And I know we have a few more days that work will continue, but I wanted to give all of our maintenance crew a huge shout out and a huge thank you for all their hard work in getting our buildings ready for the start of the school year. It's wonderful when you come back and those floors look so shiny and new. It's like a brand new building. So it feels fresh and new. So thank you to all of the staff for that. Continuing on under personnel update, as you know, it's an active time of year for personnel, comings and goings. Hopefully more comings than less goings. I'll run through real quick what we have. We have a couple new hires. We have hired a BCBA at Park Avenue. Her name is Brittany Openshaw. She was actually in the district once before and is coming back home to Webster, so we welcome her back. We also hired Jacob Elberg. He is a science teacher at the high school, so welcome Jacob. We have a few resignations over the past month. We haven't been here since the end of July, I think, or middle of July. So these are the resignations since then. We have Claudia Martinez and ABA Park Ave, Paula Buzinkowski, Elaine Bean, they're both Park Ave Paris. We had the resignation of a gym teacher at Park Ave, Brandon Stan. We've had two counselors resign at Webster Middle School, Kelly Porter and Natalia Martinez. And then I believe we have a para at the middle school, but I think he changed his mind. So that's not happening. So I'm going to take that one right off the list. We have no requests for a transfer at time. And down below you see are the active positions. Some of them are here. They're in the process of being hired, or we have people coming in. We're being a little creative with the .4 ABA position. We might be combining that with another position. But we are actively moving through this list, and hopefully we'll have the majority of them full by the opening of school. Of course, some of the positions, those special ed positions, foreign language positions, those are a little harder to fill. I'm hopeful that we can fill them, but if not, we'll be looking for long-term subs and actively looking to get somebody in those positions. But it is a very busy time of year, and we are doing the best we can with filling everything and getting ready for the opening of school. Any questions about personnel? Okay. continuing on, even though we are in the summer months, work around instruction continues to be a top priority for us here in the district. Summer programs ran through the month of July and the beginning of August. Dr. Patty Mackay is here and will be giving an update on our summer school programs. Before I turn it over to Patty, I just wanted to give a shout out to all of the staff that come in and work over this summer. We couldn't have the programs without the people here working and supporting them. So I just wanted to give them a huge thank you for investing in our students, for investing in our community. It means a lot. So I'll turn it over to Ms. Mackay.
Good evening. We were very fortunate to have a robust summer program again this year. We will start by, are we doing the, this, go ahead and play that. Yeah. And then when I'm done talking, we can have Sherry's program go. Okay. So this is a recap of what we did at summer program at Park Avenue in the 21st Century program. You will listen to music when the special ed program comes along. We did not add music to this one, so it's just a little, does it scroll or does it, do you have to click it? Okay, go ahead. It's a sample of what the students do for social emotional learning. So the program does project-based learning. So they're reinforcing their academic skills through projects, but they also infuse social emotional learning. Kindergarten did, engineering is elementary. It's designing plant packages, and they worked in the school garden. And so they looked at what does a plant need. Students learned about worms, what are pollinators, how do animals help plants. The student will build bird feeders and attract pollinators. They designed and built scarecrows. They learned how to plant, how plants need space to grow and will transplant their seedlings. And they created and performed a play about plants needing to survive. So it's doing and acting and creating, and that's one of the things that the kids really enjoy. The next one. And that's just some, these are just some images of the kindergarten program. I love the way that they can create and build. And in an earlier slide, you saw like day 1, day 2, day 3. And so part of the scientific process or part of the project-based learning is having a plan and articulating how you're going to carry out that plan and see the change over time. So even at kindergarten, they can do that. There's our scarecrow. Look at all the garden. Look at the garden and what they grew. First grade, they did something called Playful Learning, which is related to community markets. And they learned about what people need or want at local markets. And they toured a local supermarket and farmer's market. They learned the process of manufacturing, the process of processing crops. They learned to create their own school market, selling items and offering families produce from the school garden, which was interesting. Incorporate writing. I would rather be a producer of chocolate and a consumer of chocolate as well. I'll say as you scroll that this is the first year that we also had student interns from the high school that assisted with the classrooms, which was a very good experience for the students of all kinds, the high school students and for the littles, as well as for the staff to get the extra assistance. In second grade, they did a unit called Playful Learning, which is bicycles everywhere. They learned that bicycles are special machines, ask questions like, why do people ride on bikes? How can people be safe on bicycles? We incorporated the injury prevention program from Boston Children's Hospital, where they come out and talk to the kids and give out helmets. We talked about the knowledge that the knowledge expert brings in the bicycles. They learned about the Webster infrastructure for people using bicycles. They walked to the town beach and then decided if that was a good location for a bike path. And the final project was to create a town bike path model. They're like little engineers. As we scroll through these pictures, I get a little emotional because we all know what was happening with the funding, and I'll talk about that in a second, but we know that just a couple of months ago, we were worried about whether the funding for this type of programming would continue. We had received the funding that was actually extra 25 funding, which is what they released for us to run the summer program, and told us that we could run the first 4 weeks of school with that money. And then on July 25th, the money was released. The federal government released the funds so that we can continue and actually elaborate on the 21st Century Program and write the final budget for the remainder of this year. And so at least we're safe for the remainder of this year. But it really makes me happy to see that we were able to maintain this type of programming for our students. Third grade did a program called Play the Polar Bear Way, where students learned about good sportsmanship and why to play safe during recess. They designed activities that are fun and accessible for all students, created a play rule book for their modified games. They presented the activities to their community and hosted a summer family field day. These are some of the games that they created. And in fourth grade, it was a program called Woven Dreams, which is an appreciation of culture and community. Students discussed stories of the past, learning about Webster's textile history. They learned about people's hopes and dreams and how it impacts their history. They shared their own culture and history. They learned about how Webster's history contributes to our present community. They created a project about the story of Lake Webster. Linda, you might be able to say it. I can't say it. Or someone here might be able to say it. And about Webster Lake. And there's their work, this is also where they got to display a little bit of their own cultural history, and taking pride in that. We were able to service 68 students in Park Avenue during the summer program. We expected around 74, but we had a consistent group of 68. These are some other things that they did. These were their field trips and some exploratory learning. And I'll just keep talking during the pictures. At Webster Middle School, we serviced 40 students, and included a transition to grade 9 program for 12 students that focused on ELA and math. We did experience some difficulty filling slots, and we're in the process of making some decisions for what changes might need to be made for the programming for summer at Webster Middle next year. And at Bartlett High School, we had an overwhelming number of students, way more than what we expected. We had 141 students participate in credit recovery. So the difference between like the Park Ave program and the Webster Middle School Bartlett program is that Park Avenue is enrichment, Webster Middle is referral due to academic need, and Bartlett is credit recovery. So a staggering number of 141 students means that these are all students that had to complete or redo some courses. And we really focused on the core. There were a lot more than that could have redone like electives. We really focused on the core subjects. 116 of the 141 completed their course or courses. Students could take up to 2 courses. 25 did not earn credit, which is 18%. We've spoken at length about updating the criteria for next summer for summer school for Bartlett. We would like to have in-person teaching again. And as a reminder, we moved to online learning when we couldn't have people, like post-COVID, people chose not to work in summer, and we had no choice but to go to online. So we would like to go back to in-person teaching and revert back to needing a minimum grade of 50 to be eligible. There were just too many students who needed classes this year. And I think one of the big things that Bartlett needs to address is the high number of students who needed to repeat those classes and what that indicates and some of the problem solving that we have to do around that. And that's the end of my summer school report. Is this a good time for Shari to talk about ESY?
Sorry, through the chair,
Member Scriglia?
just a question for Dr. Mackay. Do you have were any of those seniors that were supposed to graduate that needed the recovery?
Yes, there were 4 seniors, and we held a graduation at the end of the summer for
Right,
the students
so-
that completed.
And do you have an idea or a breakdown of of those 140 students, like what the grades were? Like, did you find that they were more juniors or was it sophomores?
Probably equal. We did have a high number of students in grade 9.
Really?
We
Okay.
had a lot of students in grade 9.
So hopefully with the freshman orientation next year with the incoming freshman class, it'll be interesting to see if there's any freshmen next summer or what the numbers are going to look like for them. Because
think that-
I have the same, that's a lot of students that needed credit for their courses.
So we've been considering this all summer and have been working with guidance and with admin to think about some things that you'll hear about at a future meeting when we'll put it on the agenda to discuss some plans for the remedy for some of the situations that came to light this summer.
All right, good. Thank you. I look forward to it.
Good evening.
Good evening.
So, thank you. The coordination of our extended school year programming was once again led by Sue Ricard, who has dedicated close to 20 years in this important stipend position. Susan's longstanding commitment to the ESY program is evident in every detail she created this montage that we're about to see. She consistently goes above and beyond to support our families, students, and staff. And thanks to her efforts, the summer programs run smoothly each year, providing a meaningful and enriching experience for all of our students. We expected 54 students in the program across all grade levels, and we had 47 students attend. So to give you a glimpse into the impact of her work and the joy experienced by our students, we'd like to share a brief video highlighting the summer's program.
A lot of work goes into planning and preparing for our summer programs, and I want to thank Patty and Sherry, and again, thank everybody who puts the time and effort into making those summer programs happen and make them a happy place for our kids to come over the summer. So thank you. Thank you for that. Any questions? Okay. All right, moving on. As we prepare for the new school year, our work also continues to focus around our instructional priority and our strategic planning. Last week was a busy week for everyone here in the district. On August 13th, our district and school ILT spent the day up at Nichols College working on strategic planning and our instructional priority. For the FY26 school year, of work has focused on continuing to narrow down our instructional priority. We talked a lot about this at the end of the school year as we were getting our instructional priority ready and meeting and working on it. And our goal was to really start to narrow the focus and becoming even clearer on what we can do to improve instruction and really clarify the work that needs to happen for this year. So in your packet, I'll read it quickly what our instructional priority will be for FY26. All educators will intentionally plan using student data and HQIM to incorporate instructional strategies, including questioning, discourse opportunities, and checking for understanding into standards-aligned lessons so English language learners and students with disabilities access grade level text and achieve proficiency with grade level tasks in reading and speaking. So we've really narrowed it down to really focusing on 3 instructional strategies that we will be working on, mastering, we'll be getting professional development on, and we're going to implement these slowly. We're not doing it all at once. The one is going to build off the other, so we're going to start with one and do it really well. And we know that's not the only strategy people are going to use, but we think these are intentional strategies that will give us a big bang for our buck that we will focus on across the district, and then we will build on that. We have received feedback on our FY26 instructional priority from our DESE team, who are very pleased that we have narrowed down the focus to those 3 instructional strategies. I don't know if you want to elaborate on the conversations that we had with our SOS partner.
I think one of the suggestions was that we get clearer on how we're going to monitor progress. And so that's one of the ways that we can continue to grow. The instructional priority document that we submit to DESE is a dynamic document that we can keep updating. And they were also very interested in stakeholder engagement. And so how do we elicit feedback from different stakeholder groups? And so we have, I think every school this year has conducted several school climate surveys, both with students and staff. Part of our strategic planning work involved a family survey that went out. And then we also are getting ready to send out our Title I family needs assessment surveys. So I think that we're okay in that realm. But they were very pleased that we specifically named instructional practices, that our staff know that when we come around, when we do observations, that this is what we're looking for, and understanding, as Monique said, understanding that we all practice many instructional practices, but we're going to be very intentional about these because they're research-based, they're high leverage, and we want to see better outcomes for our students.
Yep, and these strategies were picked after the district instructional leadership team, after looking at data, after looking at our walkthroughs and narrowing things down. As a team, we saw these repetitive themes. So we really narrowed in on them and worked to really identify what we thought would help us grow as a district. So that is going to be our instructional priority for FY26. We're excited to start the work. In regards to the strategic planning, the team also spent 4 hours that day looking at the bigger picture. As you know, I think I reported in July that we are working with Miss Amy McKinstry, who is is superintendent in Northbridge. She is also a certified DESE strategic planner. And she has been guiding and supporting us in going through the process. So she was at our session on the 13th, and then again, she was here on the 15th, working with the central office team and the leaders across from the district, all of our building admins, assistant principals, deans. I don't know if you want to talk about that a little bit, Patty.
So we also want to thank Committee Member Millette for engaging in that work with us. But the process is called Planning for Success through DESE, and Ms. McKinstry is one of the DESE trainers who helped organize the strategic planning strategies or sessions with us and facilitated the work with our team. Through this work, we completed several analyses of different types of data and thinking, and decided on the most common themes that emerged. And as part of this planning process, families were also surveyed, so we had to also incorporate that as data. And as part of the planning process, we also included half of the day of the ILT Summit, as just mentioned, which elevated the voices of our instructional leaders in each school to get a good representation of the teacher voice from each school across the district. Our next step is to create action steps around the themes that emerged and measures of progress around those themes. And once again, a more thorough presentation will follow once the strategic plan is more solidified.
And if in your packet, you have a copy of the instructional priority that was submitted into DESE. In there, you can see how we outline the plan. We talk about roles and what we're going to be doing across the district to monitor that. Any questions about that? Okay. And as you know, school is right around the corner. I feel like we could have another month of planning, but the reality is the door's going to open next week. And I was just talking with Ms. Pugliafico. Once the kids come in, once the staff come in, everything just happens and things fall into place. So we're excited. We're ready to get back into it. We're ready to have the kids back. We look forward to having the staff back. As you know, Monday is opening day for staff. So we'll have 3 days of professional development day. Then students will be here on Thursday. And I'm really excited for that. And you'll see the smiles, hopefully, across the district. No tears yet because we're not at kindergarten yet. That'll happen the following week. We should be pretty good about that. But we're ready to get going. In my other updates, tomorrow night on Wednesday, August 20th, the Webster Police is holding their summer send-off down at Webster Lake. I will be there, the district will be there, our food service will be there, and I know adult education will be there. It's a great opportunity to connect before the start of the school year with many of our families. Keep an eye out for the weather. Apparently there may be some bad weather tomorrow, I'm not sure. I got an email from police chief saying if there's bad weather, they'll post and they'll cancel. They don't have a rain out date. So I would keep your eyes open to Facebook and see what the day brings. I did not realize we were going to get some potential bad weather tomorrow. And as you can see, just driving around this campus, the project is moving forward. There's been a lot of work done in the summer. I'm not going to go into it. I know Ms. Contos will be giving an update on the project in her report, so I'm going to quickly go through that. This week on August 20th, 21st, and 22nd, we are holding our new teacher orientation. I would like to thank Debbie Rivera and Michelle Budney for their efforts on this. Teachers will be coming in on Wednesday and Thursday. And I'm happy to say that this year we're doing something a little different for our paras. They will be coming in, paras and ABA staff. We have worked really hard at putting together an onboarding process for our paras and ABAs to give them an introduction of what it's like to be a para and ABA. So they will be coming in on Friday. to go through that, and it's something that we will continue throughout the year. When we hire new staff, that they come in, they have a little training. I will say this was an area that we kind of struggled with and that we didn't do really, really well. We'd hire, new staff coming in who really haven't worked in a school district before, who haven't had a lot of exposure to what the role is and what it looks like. And, with short-staffed and the way things go around district, we come in, we do our best to acclimate them to an environment, to have them shadow somebody for a day. But it's not always that easy with short-staffed and moving. With all good intentions there, it didn't always work out the best when a new staff came in. So our goal is to have staff come here, spend a day here, learning about, we have some modules, they're gonna get some training about what it is to be a para, how to build connections, de-escalation, the role in general. And then they'll spend some time on the second day at the school, maybe shadowing, meeting with the teacher or a BCBA to learn about the student that they're going to be working with, to have that one-on time, so they're going in feeling more prepared to work with the student. So I'm sure we'll be tweaking this as we go through, but it's something new that we're excited to have. We're excited to offer to our staff, and I think it's going to be beneficial for the people coming in, giving them a sense of, I'm ready for this and I can do that, some confidence in their role. So we look forward to that. And I did include copies of the agendas for you in your packet. Also something new this year, we are doing something a little different with our mandatory training. We purchased a program called ArcSed last year. And what it is before you would come to our website, we have mandated trainings for our staff. They might be a PowerPoint training, they might be a PDF document or something, and it's up to the staff to just kind of flip through and read that, and then they certify that they read the information. Now there is, it looks like there's going to be an email that's going to be going out. All of these trainings are brought into little videos, 10-minute, 15-minute videos that really talk about it, so they're more engaging. It's hitting the high points, so the information is delivered in a better manner. Hopefully it'll be more meaningful for the staff as they go through it. It has a tracking mechanism in there, so and it's tailored to what position that you hold. There's also a module for coaching, so we can do that for our coaches also when they're hired. So that's something I'm excited about, and we'll be rolling that out this year. And in your packet, I put a copy of the trainings that are offered for our staff. Are there any questions?
Just a comment. I'm really pleased that we were able to get this training lined up for this school year, particularly for our paraprofessionals. I'm excited to hear the feedback and what folks think of it, but it's a great opportunity to set folks up for success, particularly people who are new to the district or even to the profession.
Absolutely. Thank you. And that concludes my report.
Thank you, Mrs. Perangeli. Any questions or comments for Mrs. Perangeli? Hearing none, the next item on the agenda is the business manager report. Good evening, Mrs. Contos.
Good evening, everyone. We're going to get started with the Bartlett High School renovation project with some updates. I'm going to start first with some Phase 1 activities, even though we're in Phase 2. So coming out of Phase 1, we ended up with a pretty significant punch list of items that needed to be completed. Those punch list items included items of things that may not have been completed, but that we accepted to still occupy the space. It also included items that either the architect or us as the owner was not satisfied with and that we wanted remediated, or perhaps things that got damaged in the process of the GC or the subcontractors being in the section. So there was a list of thousands of items that needed to be completed. It was anticipated with the closing of substantial completion that it would have been done by July 25th. However, we did extend it as owners to August 15th. So there are still some items, roughly about 44, that are incomplete that we're having conversation about and ranking the priority of what needs to be done. Some of those are anticipated to be completed this week. for example, is putting another maintenance coat on the gymnasium floor. That was required because of all the activity that was going on in there and electrical work and lifts being on the floor, that they had committed to putting that additional coating on. So those are some of the items. So we're having conversations about how do we get those remaining items. We had a pretty extensive meeting this morning about how do we get there and the prioritization. So we're hoping to see movement on some of those items this week. What I will say is that the general contractor is managing a significant number of subs. Subs commit to come, and then subs don't show up when they expect them to be here. So that is unfortunate, but that's the life of trying to be a GC and schedule people to come in, that they are also faced with those challenges. So certainly trying to work together to get those things wrapped up. The big item, which is the auditorium, which everyone is waiting for the outcome of that, is I have good news to start with, and that is that all the steel connections have been satisfied and completed. So that was the major obstacle holding up the architect signing off and issuing affidavits for that section of the building. So that's really good news. So we will have the auditorium ready for this school year. I can't tell you tonight whether or not it'll be available for convocation. We have a follow-up meeting tomorrow. Some of the items that we're still addressing is the lift in the auditorium was certified and cleared by the state as being functional and operational. Somehow, over the course of it being certified and operational, the door is not opening properly right now. And so they're looking to have some maintenance done on that from a warranty standpoint. So that's one item that we're trying to get addressed. The other one is there was some AV equipment that was, the subcontractor was finishing up with all the programming that was needed to get it all configured to work properly. Good news is we were able to start some training in there for our teachers, so we were excited about that, but the commissioning agent from the MSBA is coming out tomorrow to validate everything. So we'll have a report out on the AV equipment tomorrow. The other issue that we encountered, which has affected the auditorium but is not directly in the auditorium. So one of the challenges of a renovation project is obviously we're doing this project in phases, and the roof abuts each section. So there is an area of transition on the roof that has caused some water leakage to come into the stairwell by the auditorium and by the control booth. So there has been some remedial work done on that, but we've requested a third party to come in and assess what has been done so far and whether or not it's been adequate and sufficient for us to actually accept that it's complete. They have replaced some drywall and done some other things, but we have asked for that additional verification to happen. So those are some other activities. And then the last one is really, well, it sounds good to say everything's done. There's an administrative component of closing out every section and what it takes to prepare what substantial completion will look like, that certificate, and getting the building inspector in once the affidavits are released. So we're hoping to know by tomorrow morning whether or not the key items that we need in order to use the auditorium will be functional so that we hopefully could get it done by convocation. But if not, we don't think it'll be much longer after that. So let me just pause there, see if there's any questions. I will say that this is a very fluid process, and that's being kind, but it's also extremely frustrating. We have commitments about things being completed or when they'll be done, and then we learn otherwise that either something else surfaced, right? So when we think we've gotten over one hurdle, we encounter another one. For example, like the lift. That was new news the other day for us. So that was extremely shocking and disappointing, and we're trying to be as demanding in terms of getting things done, but also continuing to build that relationship and being flexible and understanding the things that are out of their control when it is out of their control.
I know that door. I know that squeak. So the frustration is that, you know, they're making the calls, they're doing what they can, and then vendors are not showing up. So it's frustrating for all of us involved, including the builder.
Yep, it is. And so moving on to phase 2, all the demolition activities have been completed. So the next phase that we move into is really setting up that foundation in the building, getting all the footings in, the strip walls. They're erecting steel across the first and second floor, installing mechanical, electrical, and plumbing in the actual ceiling from the first floor so it can support what's needed on the second floor. On the roof, they're erecting steel, they're placing the roof deck down, they're putting roof edge blocking down, they're also installing the air vapor barriers and getting ready to get the roof deck installed itself. So lots of activity is underway. We are right now still on schedule for phase 2. They're also doing a lot of site work. If you've been around the campus, you will see that a significant number of light pole bases. The underground electrical work has been done, and this week they've been starting to put up those poles. And that will continue. We did confirm that there are some older poles that you'll see across the campus. Those will eventually come down, but for now, we will see a concurrent set of lights until they've actually gotten all the new light pole bases installed and have that electrical functioning up and running. And then the last item related to really phase 2, but kind of part of phase 1, is the remediation that we're doing on the window lintels. I've reported on this in the past, and this was the situation that we had no end dams in the original building that was anticipated to be there, so we're remediating that right now. They will be wrapping up the cleanup this week of that, as well as finalizing some of the window testing associated with that. Once Section C is done, we have already approved the change order for B section, and that will be done within the sequence of already planned work in phase 2, unlike with phase 1 where we had to go back and do those activities. Let me pause and see if there's any questions, comments? All right, I'll move on to just regular building maintenance, and I think you guys stole my thunder really well at the beginning, but I would like to just echo what you said. A big shout out to the custodial team. They work hard all summer, juggling activities, scheduling it around summer school, and really they put their heart and soul in making sure that the environment looks clean, it's welcoming, and that we maintain the appearance and the function of the overall building. So thanks to the whole team. The other thing from a facilities standpoint, particularly on this campus that I'll highlight, is we are continuing with issuing parking permits this year, but we are actually modifying how we're doing that. Parking is a premium right now because we have one whole lot dedicated to construction parking. The overflow for the construction folks is on George Street. And so we ended up with some challenges this year that affected Webster Middle School. We had some students starting to park over there, taking up space for staff. They couldn't get spots. So we will be issuing parking permits for Bartlett staff, district office, as well as Webster Middle School. You may have noticed if you were in the tennis court parking lot, you will see that the spots are all numbered now. So for Bartlett in the district office, we will be assigning the lot and the spot. And Webster Middle School, they'll just be assigned to that overall parking lot and be able to park where they want to. But we have signs posted up that permit parking is required Monday through Friday from 7 to 3. That will allow us, in the instance of people consuming spots, to be able to tow the construction workers who may be parking there that shouldn't be. So we have a pretty good process in place, and we'll be rolling that out next week. And hopefully, I won't be out there patrolling with my staff when the lots are full and trying to give people warnings and tow cars. That's the goal. Any questions about that? All right, we're going to move on to some activities in preparation for the school year. Lots of things, we talked about it. Everyone's working really hard to get ready for the start of the school year. When it comes to transportation, we've been working with AA to get all of the bus assignments completed because each of the buildings need to get ready because we issue bus passes to all of the students because we do expect them to show those bus passes when they're on the bus. So that process has begun. We're going through another iteration of it to do updates for students that have now registered since we did that. And our bus routes will be posted on the website tomorrow, with the exception of the parochial schools, because we have not received them yet. But we will be posting up all the other routes tomorrow. The other thing that we get ready for is we will have a kickoff meeting for the school year with our crossing guards. Our school resource officer, as well as the police chief, will join us. And what we do in that is we review just kind of they're seasoned crossing guards, but we do like to review all the protocol to make sure that they're keeping students safe as well as keeping themselves safe, and they understand the expectations for how to contact folks if issues do arise and what to do in the case of 911 situations. Certainly I've been out there doing crossing walk duty, and really looking out for the students is very challenging at times. They're on their phones, they're not looking up, they have earbuds in, they're not paying attention. So it can get a bit challenging and stressful at times to make sure that you are keeping them safe and that they're paying attention. So we have that going on this week as well. Closing out from last year, though, I will say from a financials, I reported about the work that we were doing to get all invoices closed out, as well as encumbering money for anything that was pending to be paid. So that was ongoing and has been completed. And in your packet is the result of all the budget line transfers that we did to close out the end of the school year. The one thing that I will highlight for you is we did put on a budget freeze mid-year. We were projecting a pretty significant number for transportation. It did not come in as high, so therefore we were able to cover it in the LEA budget. And again, we did not need to use the town meeting money that was approved. But in addition to that, because of what we had, we did not have to apply the full amount of money that we had budgeted from circuit breaker, leaving us with a little additional balance in there. So that will help us should we have any unexpected situations come up this year that we may need to tap into should someone move into the district with already an IEP or we have new needs that surface. And then now I'll move on to some technology updates, routine activities. And while it sounds routine, it's a lot of work for the team when they're getting ready for it, because we do issue new Chromebooks for students in grades 1, 5, and 9. So they get all of those prepared and assigned out to students. We also refresh about a quarter of our faculty and staff laptops as well. And so they're getting those prepared so they can start rolling those out. So that's an activity, as well as repairing, which I didn't mention in your notes, but they also have to repair the Chromebooks that we collect back that the students may have broken throughout the year. So lots of activity goes on there. We did have a significant upgrade last night that happened to our firewalls. We were able to purchase new firewalls through the E-rate program, which means the district is only responsible for 15% of the cost. And so we did those upgrades along with some upgrades to our bandwidth across all 3 schools from Spectrum and our internet service. The migration took last night a full 12 hours. We ended up with a situation we had a phone outage today, unfortunately, due to some configuration challenges. We have Webster Middle School in Park Ave up and running, and our IT manager is still working on getting Bartlett up, but I think he's close to being complete. So hopefully we'll be back to business tomorrow, and phones will be ringing again. We did update the website, though, just in case people were calling to let them know that we were aware of the outage.
I will say it was nice and quiet.
Heads down. And then the last thing, just to make you aware of, is we are implementing multi-factor authentication this year. We've actually already started with a pilot, and so you may be familiar with this. If you use a banking application, they might send you a code to authenticate. So you enter your password and you get a code. The way in which we're doing it is we are offering people 2 options in which they can authenticate. One is using an application on their phone. They can use an authenticator application to authenticate, or they can get a dongle, which thank you that you have one, that looks like this. And they can push a button and get the code to authenticate. This is a real critical security measure that we're taking. This will safeguard our data. It'll hopefully reduce phishing attempts, because if someone gets your credentials, if someone sees that they get a notification to put in their code, they should know I am not logging on, I should not enter it. And that will hopefully reduce the number of phishing attempts we get through the year. But it's also being done as a result of our cyber insurance carrier. For us to get increased limits, this is one of the measures that we need to put in place to safeguard our infrastructure across the district. And we've been piloting it in the district office, and we will be rolling it out to teachers starting next week. And then we'll be rolling it out to other groups following the teachers, and hopefully getting that done by the end of October. Any questions? Thank you.
Mrs. Condos, does that conclude your report? Yes? Okay, great, thank you. And no questions or comments for Mrs. Condos? All right. Well, thank you once again. The next item on the agenda is an update from our principal at Park Ave Elementary, Miss Amy Pliafico. Good evening.
Good evening. Happy to be back, ready to kick this off again. So I'm going to start with some new staff. I'm sure Superintendent Perangeli has kind of kept you updated as we are moving through. But we have hired 3 new third grade teachers. Sounds like a lot. As I was telling my interviewees, people are not running from third grade. That is not what's happening. We had a retirement, we had a shift of a position, and we had a teacher move into a new position within the building. So that gave us 3 new positions. So that's Jacob Bond, Sophie Morel, and Annalise Sherman. We're excited to have them on board. We also hired a new ELL teacher, which is a position that was moved from another building to Park Ave. So I'm happy to have Lori Trahan on staff. We hired a new BCBA, as was mentioned, Brittany Openshaw, and a new family liaison, Nicole Suarez Brackett. So we're happy to have them. And we are in the process of hiring new IAs and ABAs as we speak. Today there were some interviews. We also have a couple maternity leaves that we are actively working to fill. We, with the addition of the EL teacher, space is certainly at a premium at Park Ave. So we did need an additional space for our services for our ELL students, which required us to move our BCBAs. So that resulted in some office changes in the main office, allowing us to put our BCBAs together in an office and create a new space for our ELL teachers. And we also had some classroom moves, some third grade classroom moves to allow our new staff to be close to established staff. We really have to think about how best to support our new staff as they come in. We want to make sure they're not an island on their own. We want to make sure they're with veteran staff who can support them instructionally, culturally within the building. So we had some classroom moves there too. We also had, I don't know if Ms. Contos talked about our increasing cameras at a last meeting, but we over doubled our cameras within the building, which is going to give us great coverage both inside the building and outside the building, which is huge for safety, both from anything outside the building coming in, as well as making sure our students are creating safe environments within the building. Next up is some summer professional development. We were able to offer staff to come work on our Eureka program this year. We had 10 staff take advantage of that. A big piece of that is organizing materials so that when it comes time to work within the program, they have those materials organized and ready to go. Things like baggies of 100 items for counting. So that takes a lot of time to organize that for 25 students per classroom in 7 classrooms across 1 grade. So we were lucky to have 10 staff willing to come in and do that. And they don't just do it for themselves and their grade. They share the work across the grades, which is fantastic. We also had safety care happening today with a big focus on de-escalation techniques. That work on de-escalation will also be shared with the whole staff as we move into the beginning of the year to make sure that they are well prepared. But the additional piece of this training is restraint. to make sure that our staff are well prepared in case the need arises to keep everybody physically safe as well as emotionally safe. And my assistant principal, Jess Ahutsky, offered optional PD to staff over the summer, a 3-day workshop on a Start Strong PD. So they learned about the trauma-informed reasons, culturally relevant reasons to have strong procedures, strong routines, strong expectations in the classroom, the research behind that, how important it is for kids to have that. And then they were able to spend time planning lessons that actually teach those routines and expectations to staff, to students. So that was an optional PD. She did have 12 staff members come and take advantage of that workshop, which is fantastic. And that bleeds right into our Strong Start, which is the focus of the beginning of the year. We really put a strong 2-week focus on building those expectations, those routines, the classroom culture, to provide those kids the safety of knowing what to expect when they come into a classroom. It's really an effort to go slow so you can go fast. It sounds like a long time to spend on that, but it's so important, especially for our younger learners, to learn those expectations and practice them, learn how to do the different instructional routines that are included in the math program, learn how to leave the room to go use the bathroom, learn how to walk in the hall. You know, I think these are all things that we take for granted, that kids really need to learn over and over again. So we do take a good chunk of time at the beginning of the year to do that, establish our PBIS expectations, and then we will have our first community meeting on September 12th with the whole building together in our gym with our new bleachers to be able to really kick the year off on a positive note and set a tone for the school year. And then I also listed just some important upcoming dates here for you. Kids in 1 through 4 will be back with us, actually 1 through 12 will be back with us on the 28th. During that time, up until September 5th, our preschool and our kindergarten are doing screenings where the kids come in with their families and go through so the teachers can kind of see where they are, see what they need, any concerns for additional screenings for special education, speech, et cetera. And September 5th, which is a Friday, our kindergarten families are invited in for a meet and greet. I don't have the preschool date yet, but that will also happen. By then, they will know their teachers. They will be assigned to a classroom, so kindergartners will be able to, parents will be able to meet their teachers as well. And then our pre-K and kindergarten students start on September 8th. September 17th and 18th, we have our book fair. PTO will be hosting our book fair, and we always correlate that along with our open house, which is on the 18th in the evening. September 19th is a half day for the whole district. And on September 30th, we'll be having Boston Children's Hospital doing a presentation for our 4th grade on helmet safety. I think, you know, we all have seen kids on their bikes without their helmets, the rise of e-bikes coming about and what we see happening with that. So we want to start to get a bit more proactive with our students, and if we can get them young, wearing their helmets, any, you know, parents watching of very young children, start as soon as you can to teach them that no helmet, no bike, no helmet, no scooter. It really helps when they get older. And then on October 4th, which is a Saturday, we have our PTO Fall Festival, which is always a fun event. And October 10th. I went into October. I'm not back in front of you until October 14th, so I wanted to make sure I filled all the dates in leading up to the next time I come. Any questions that's I have?
Thank you for the updates. Lots going on
Yeah.
at Park Ave for sure.
I also just wanted to note, we saw the gardens a lot in our videos and pictures there, and I just want to recognize a teacher of ours, Beth Waybetts. She's a special education teacher who really it was already established, the garden, but she really took it on and has really grown it. She has literally, yes, literally. In the spring, if you're in, you can see she has grow lights outside of her room. She's starting the plants early. The kids love to stop and look at it. She hosts a garden club with kids that can come work in the gardens. She has really blossomed that. I know, it's like, I just can't help it. That garden into an amazing thing. And clearly the community is enjoying it. I went today to look for a snack and I couldn't find any vegetables to eat. So I'm glad that the community is coming in and enjoying the things that are growing on it, because that's the point of it as well. So.
That's great. Great to see. Any other questions or comments from the committee? Well, we wish you a very successful and uneventful start to the school year. Thank you for your updates.
Best day of the year, day one.
Yes, it's true. All right. Well, the next item on our agenda under old business is a monthly report on fundraising applications. As a reminder, the role of the school committee is to review fundraising applications, but we don't approve them. Those are done at the building or district level. Anything about fundraising?
I just want to thank you to and that
Yeah.
means there are all of it. The PTO for all of their support, supports all of our students.
He's going to open the door. I didn't have my button on. Sorry, Lee. For all of the field trips that happen during the school year. There is things for PBIS, there's student council, there's more senior class stuff, football, all kinds for the fall. So we just want to thank everybody for all of their efforts in raising money and bringing things in for our students. So we appreciate that.
Agree. Couldn't have said it better myself. Any questions or comments from the committee about that? No? Okay. Well, the next item on our agenda under new business is the review and approval of several handbooks, the first one being the employee handbook. Mrs. Perangeli?
Oh, thank you. You should have cheat sheets in your packet of all the changes that were made for the employee handbook. You have pages and the updates. We updated names and titles on page 5. I don't know if you want us to read. Page 6, updated school committee names. We eliminated the pre-employment physical. We no longer do that here at the district. One of the things that came about in our negotiation is we added language regarding the union right to access, so that is in there now. We've updated the health insurance coordinator. We recently had a change in that. Somebody different is handling the health insurance now at the town hall. That is going to be Miss Tina Landry. On page 10, we had an updated name, and then we added the amendment policy of JICFB on page 23. So those are the changes to the employee handbook for this year.
Thank you, Mrs. Perangeli. Any questions or comments from the committee about the employee handbook updates? Hearing none, I'll entertain a motion to approve this handbook as presented.
So moved.
Second?
There's a motion and a second. Desiree, would you please poll the committee?
Yes.
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 Yes, motion passes. Right.
Okay, the next item I have is the substitute handbook. The only changes in the substitute handbook were updates to names and titles in the handbook. Other than that, everything stayed the same.
Great. Any questions or comments from the committee about the substitute handbook? Hearing none, I'll entertain a motion to approve it as presented.
So moved.
There's a motion and a second. Desiree, would you please poll the committee?
Yes.
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 Yes, motion passes.
Okay, and then we are moving on to the schools. And before we start with the schools, just a quick update for you. We have done some work on our handbooks this year as far as district policies. We have worked in 2 of our schools, the policies were integrated in the handbook, and in one of our school, they were in a section together at the back of the policy. And as we were going through our review, our SPED audit that we did, the CAP review, we decided that, and they, at their recommendation, to put all the district policies in one section. So that way, when we're updating a policy, we're updating it once. We're not trying to find it in 3 different handbooks in 3 different spots and updating it. So we make a change to the district policy, that's always going to be there, and that's going to go at the end of the handbook. So we've consolidated the district policies, put them in one section, and so the schools went through the exercise of pulling them out of the integrated, and that way it'll be easier to maintain and monitor moving forward. But I can turn it over to, I'm not sure on the agenda who's first. Okay, we'll turn it over to Park Ave.
Okay, so all of our changes are at the end in red. They're also highlighted in red throughout the document. As you scroll through all the pages, it's a lot. There are not any substantial changes other than removing the policies and replacing them. So really on the first few pages, 5 and 6, we updated staff names there. Page 7 updated the calendar. Page 8, again, updated our staff listing. We have only listed our Unit A staff. We have just found that our other IAs and ABAs change very frequently, so to keep that continually updated, we've maintained our Unit A staff here. Page 14, that is where we took out our bullying policy to move it to the end. So that's several pages of deletion there. Page 17, we added some information about how we celebrate student behavior and achievement. We removed kid of character, as we do have our student of the month monthly, but we're now recognizing students on more individual basis as they happen through things like paw coins and whatnot. So we removed that. Pages 18 and 19 were some updates to special education information that was in there. We deleted some information about dress code, things like spaghetti straps and halters and whatnot. We don't have issues with that, and just in an attempt to be a little bit more responsive to students and their needs, we have deleted those. And down to page 28, changes in dates, changed PTO times, they are now meeting earlier, changed our grading trimester dates, we're still in trimesters, but just updated the dates for those. And starting on 37 to, that should say 79, not 99, we added all of the Webster Public Schools policies.
There's a lot of policies in here.
Yes, yep. Those were just all and I believe we may still have more to update, or is that all of them?
We could update more, so we'll be that last year coming. Sorry, Lee. 3rd time's a charm. I promise I won't forget again. We'll be updating that during the year. We really need to, and I said it, I think I said it last year, but make a concerted effort as a committee to look at a full policy review and put a team. I have started to inquire. I inquired last year about it. I would have liked to do it last year. But really, it's a year-long process, you know, having somebody come in, have it facilitated by MASC. We'd have to put a team together and really go through our book. It hasn't been done in many years. So many things have changed when, you know, we keep up here and there, but we need to be better at that and doing that. So there are things that we will be coming forward with, you know, that were in the works, our acceptable use policy and things like that, that we'll be updating. And we'll continue that through this year, update what we can. And then when we start to budget for next year, we'll get better pricing on what it would cost. And maybe that's something that we can budget for, to plan for the next year, to put a team together to look at our policies as we go through.
Great. Yeah, it's great to hear. Certainly something that needs to be done on a regular basis, and it's one of those things that, you know, there's never time for.
Right.
And apologies, because I think you already said this, Mrs. Perangeli, but why are we putting them into all of the school handbooks? That was a recommendation?
Yeah, no, we always had the policies in there,
Okay.
but they were embedded in the handbooks in different sections.
Yeah.
And so now what we've done is we've consolidated them. So you'll have reference to maybe a district policy in the procedure, see district policy, whatever, and then it's listed in the back. So all the district policies are in the back, so that way, when a policy does update or something's changed, we're changing it in one spot. You're not trying to embed it. Is it in multiple
Right.
spots in a handbook or something? It's listed where it needs to be. And that was a recommendation from our CAP when we did our reviews. They were looking at policies and procedures in our handbooks.
Through the chair.
Yeah, Member Claros?
Hi. I just wanted to say that I reviewed all the handbooks and I thought it was really helpful to have that district policy sections in all the handbooks, like at the back, and kind of made it much easier to review. And I was just looking, and I think what you said about going through the year and doing that, I think that's going to be really important, because you can see other spots too where those can be uniform across every
Exactly.
handbook. And right now you're kind of still looking, but I did see that and I thought it made it much easier to read. And I could see it doing like the nurses section, things like that. All those things could really be beneficial. If a lot of those are district, of course, they're still school specific, but I thought it looked really nice. I thought that was a nice addition the way it was.
Good, thank you for that feedback. I appreciate that.
It's definitely nice to have them all in one place, for sure, yeah. I noticed just a little bit of wonky formatting at the beginning of the policies for the Park Ave, page 42, the bullets. If we can,
Oh, yes, that's
Yeah.
because I copied them over, like.
sometimes it's, yeah, when you PDF it or
I copied
whatever,
them over
so,
and to remove some extra bullets. I did catch one
okay.
instance, but I didn't catch all of them.
Okay, yeah, so, and sometimes when you convert something from, you know, a Google Doc to a PDF, the formatting gets wonky, but just wanted to flag that so that we can fix that before it goes to the masses. Any other comments or questions from the committee regarding the Park Ave Elementary School student handbook?
Through the chair.
Member Scriglia?
I just have a quick question for the student support. Are, Mrs. Hare, you're listed as the 504 coordinator for one school, and your assistant is listed as the 504 coordinator, I think, for a different school. Are you sharing that role, or is your assistant the 504?
Ultimately, the 504 coordination is my responsibility, so I should be listed on,
I'm not
Yeah.
100% sure. Okay, which one? Yeah, okay. So somebody just has your assistant listed as the 504, so.
Do you remember what school? Okay, thank you.
Good catch.
Yep, those are good fixes.
Yeah, no, I know some schools, they're like, hey, you're gonna do this school and I'll do this school, but
Mhm.
it's good that everybody's the same.
All right. And I like the change to the dress code to have it more gender neutral. I think that's kind of what you were getting at, Ms. Poliafico, of just eliminating some things that are more gender specific. Yeah, great. All right. Any other questions or comments with regard to the student handbook for Park Ave Elementary? Hearing none, I'll entertain a motion to approve it as presented with some minor edits as needed for formatting and making sure we have the correct 504 coordinator.
So moved.
Second.
There's a motion and a second. Desiree, would you please poll the committee?
Yes.
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 Yes, motion passes, and thank you for all the work that undoubtedly went into the updates to that handbook. And the next item on the agenda, Mrs. Perangeli, do you want to take it away or hand it over to Ms.
Yep.
Peterson?
Ms. Peterson.
Okay, so pretty similar to Ms. Poliafico, the changes are noted on the cover sheet. Most of them are, the first couple ones are updates, updated letters, updated calendars. Once this is approved, I'll update the table of contents. As things are removed, it moves things around. Did some reordering of some communication chain. And so then you'll see some deletions in bold. Those are all the things that get moved to the back with policies. And just to point out, not every district policy is in the handbook. It's policies that relate to students, such as bullying, hazing, the Title I compact, and those kinds of things that relate to families. I do have to update page 11 again because of our recent resignations, so I will have to put to be determined in those counselor positions and 504 positions. And the updates with the DESE recommended language in regards to disciplinary procedures. So again, very similar to Ms. Poliafico. Our changes are in red, deletions are lined out, and that's what I have.
Thank you, Ms. Peterson. Questions or comments from the committee?
Just a small one.
Okay.
There's only one T in my last name.
Okay. I think that might have been an issue last year. I'm not sure it's why it's the same, because it's the same thing.
A lot of people do it.
Through the chair?
Member Caleros?
Yes, and I just wanted to notice that I love the matrices in there, and I love that I saw them when I went through the school, showing how the kids should behave everywhere. I just thought that was a nice touch, and I love to see it in the handbook. And just one small thing, and it could be there correctly, on 39 and 41, the font was different, and that could be on purpose, but I just wanted to note it.
Yes, all of those charts are our PBIS models, so. $39 and $41.
So the handbook that I'm looking at, it shows pages 34 through 111 as crossed out. Am I looking at the wrong version?
I have that.
Yeah, I think that's because it was the district policies that were in.
Right, those are all will be moved. So 34 to 42 are being moved to the end. It looks like the numbers got changed as we added things in here.
I see that.
But, yeah, almost the entire policy is
Right.
handbook rather, is crossed out.
Yeah, to the end. Ms. Claros, I don't know that I have the same page as you. What is the title of the area that,
Sorry, let me look and see.
okay.
It's going to take me a minute to get there.
right. I'll double check it too as we cross things out. My secretary will take care of all.
Yeah, it's almost the whole,
I think it just crossed everything out.
Yeah.
So it's not supposed to be crossed out.
It is supposed to be crossed out because it's being moved to the end. That stuff was embedded in our handbook, and now it's all at the end. So it's crossed out because it no longer exists in the section where it had lived previously.
where does it exist?
Pages 74 to 111.
Those
There-
are crossed out.
They're all crossed out on the version that we're looking at.
Yeah.
I'm not sure. I just printed this an hour ago, so I'm not sure what.
Maybe we have an old version in our packet.
Right. We have a lot of crossed out.
Yeah, it's just crossed out. I think it just struck through everything, but I don't think it should be.
It shouldn't be, so I
Yeah.
apologize for you not having the right one. That's why I do things myself.
So starting on 74, that's the new. It shouldn't be struck out. So that 74 on should be,
It's a lot of pages.
I know. No. The earlier stuff, yes. After that, no.
74.
Looked like a lot of it got. We'll make sure we update it and put it in the
It
packet.
goes even into the forms. They're all crossed out. The bullying forms, they're all crossed out.
Yeah, I think it was just an accidental
Yeah.
over crossing
highlight
out.
click.
Also, with regard to the discipline piece, the procedures on page 30, is that supposed to have been removed also, Ms. Peterson?
Yes, as that's district, it's now at the end. Should be starting on page 74. I can give you, I know I only have one copy, but I can give you the correct.
So with that section after valuables, like I'm on page, I know that the numbers on the electronic version are a little different, but the page number within the document is page 30 after valuables. There's a heading that says disciplinary procedures, and then the paragraphs are crossed out, and it goes into possible reasons for disciplinary action with a bulleted list. Is that how it's supposed to read?
You on page 31?
Well,
Look at page 31. I think you're looking at the same one I have.
The document itself has a page number of 30 on it, but that's because of the table of contents, and my screen is showing me page.
I don't know why that is showing that, so here is the actual.
Sorry to grill you, but
No,
this
and
is
I
important, you know?
apologize. Never mind. I'm going to leave it at that.
I don't want to be the only one reviewing this, but.
So the font was for the suspension procedures for suspension of students with disabilities. So that was the heading, and there was just kind of a font issue on like the second page of that.
What is the desire
Miss
of the
Siddiqui,
committee?
I just
Sorry.
want to make sure everything's right, so I don't care about the grilling.
Oh, yeah, I think we have a little bit of work to do before we approve this, to be honest with you. I'll defer to the rest of the committee. I don't know if we're looking at a final doc here. I don't know.
Through the chair.
Member Squigley?
Yeah, because it's just so the disciplinary procedures, part of it is crossed out, but the possible reasons for disciplinary procedures is not, none of that looks like it's going to be moved on the draft. And then it goes back into possible disciplinary actions is crossed out again. So it's like this whole section should have been crossed out.
There should be, I mean, I'm no expert at school handbooks, but I would expect that there would be some orientation to discipline within the handbook, and then the policy, if it's moved, would then really be dug into later on in the document.
Were you able to give out the handbook? Move one out.
It would be the old one. It wouldn't be the new one. Because we don't have an updated handbook.
Unless we post a virtual meeting and the handbook gets revised and we meet via Zoom before the start of school.
That, just for the one handbook.
I think.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's close. I think it's just a matter of us understanding what stays and what moves. It's such a busy time of year to try to get everything done that it's.
And I apologize, I didn't look before tonight, coming here.
So we'll table that item for now, and we can reconvene and talk about that. We can certainly post a meeting to be held via Zoom. Let's see here. Any other feedback can just be directed to Ms. Peterson, I think, via email or something like that.
So we're going to do a special one. Yeah.
Through the chair. Just the fonts too, like was stated before, they're just throughout, it's not the same from this version that we're the hard copy that I'm looking at too. I mean, format just for the eye, but
Yeah, I think, point taken, right? A little bit of work, and we'll reconvene, within the next few days. And I'm sure it'll be the most up-to-date version at that point, so no worries. So with that being said, any other feedback, we can just email it. And then we can move along here to the Bartlett High School Student Handbook. Is that Mrs. Perangeli or Ms. Nieves?
Ms. Nieves.
Nope, it's on. Hi.
Hello.
All right, so we did a lot of the same changes as far as the editing, the updating pieces, and the page that came with my handbook in purple, and I won't read it all, are the actual changes that were made and updated to the sections. So as I go through, one of our bigger changes was our tardy policy. We didn't really have a strong policy in the past, so we have attached numbers of how many tardies to school as well as tardies to class, and what that means. What's the reaction from our staff to our parents and to our students? So we tightened that up. We saw towards the end of the school year a big difference when we started doing Saturday schools and with the accountability. So we've built in some steps prior to that for moving forward. We updated our driving to and from school, as we discussed earlier, with the parking lot conduct and regulations and the assigned parking numbers and how to go about getting a parking pass. On page 24, we updated our cell phone policy from the "we would like you to turn it in at the beginning of class" to "it's the expectation that they will turn off and turn in their cell phones into the wall mounted holders," as well as the progression of reactions from the staff to the kids and the parents. Another minor change was when the students forget or don't charge their Chromebooks, everyone left them at home and just expected to be given a new one. So the expectation will be that they will be given paper and pencil task for that day. If they do leave it at home, we don't have enough extra Chromebooks to give one out to everyone that has, just forgotten it or didn't charge it. Yes, there are going to be exceptions. Yes, there are testings. But so we tightened up that policy. Dues I updated, just like it was in the program of studies that I talked about the last time, so I updated that in this book. We spoke about AI and the relationship to cheating and plagiarism a little bit more, since we saw a lot of that this year, and how to use it appropriately, so we built that into the handbook. We're going to try an academic support center after school, so instead of teachers being in their rooms with the kids, trying to man our cafeteria with a subject area, specific staff from each area every day in one area, so if students can kind of go from different areas if need be. I added the Saturday school since that was new this past year. I'm going to save a couple of these next pieces till I get to the sports handbook, because it's a duplicate. So we did update what's updated in the coaches and the student handbook into this book as well. But that's related to the kids. On page 47 and 48 and 49, our nurses across the district did update these three sections. So the guidelines for staying home, the administration of medication, and how to refer a student to the nurse's office if something happens. So we put that in there. We were given that from them. We added a lot to our PBIS section. We did a lot this past year with PBIS and the expectations, so we included that in this handbook. We also added in, like the other two schools, community meetings this year, and it definitely made a difference, and a reminder constantly about what's going on and how to behave within the building. We didn't have a discipline matrix before, but we did list our behaviors and the possible consequences that could happen for those behaviors. That, as we go through Ed Handbook, that may be updated and the title's changed as we update that. And like everyone else, we moved the district policies. I think there's some talk of a couple things that need to be moved back up. So we do have a part that talks about the discipline up top and then the policies and procedures after, and we'll talk to see which ones have to be moved back up. And then we made the changes per the corrective action plan in the book as well. Miss Millett, I saw the spelling in there too, so I'm going to fix it on your name in there. And I'm the one with the 504 under the wrong name, so we'll fix that as well. 1T.
Yep.
Any questions?
Through the chair.
Member Scariglia?
So I just want to clarify, because I don't know if it's me that's not quite 100% understanding. So there are district policies on bullying and such. Under, this one clearly states district policies. But then above, like directly, so that's on page 69, it says district policies, and it lists them.
Yes.
But above that, on page 67 or 66, it starts, there is a part about bullying. So is that what you're talking about, what's being moved? Or like, we're including some things about bullying in your school-specific handbook, but then there's an additional section on just the district stuff. So it could be, again, the same?
So it's not as in detail. So the bottom part where we move the word for word policy
Right.
that we were all given the same through other schools is in the back on, after that, page
Right.
69.
Okay.
If you go to the page 6, and this could be changed a little bit too. We were given this, and I think we're all working on like the what to pull out and where to put it.
Right.
But in here, it's how does it pertain to Bartlett specifically? Who to go to? What offices to go to? Specifics.
So even though there could be a district change to the bullying, so the bullying, I understand the process of, okay, like, we're just gonna copy and cut it, all 3 schools have the same wording for that specific policy. And so would you necessarily, if the district policy changed, you would still have to go into your specific handbook section potentially and change the wording there too?
Yeah, sure.
So I think that the distinction between, which is actually what the state asked us to do, was to make sure that the policies are in one place and they are the same across the 3 schools. Because the district policies have been approved by the school committee and they don't change. This is policy. It's not school-specific procedures. So there might be some redundancy in titles as long as the district policies are intact. Because again, there's a distinction between what makes something a policy versus a protocol or a procedure. So there might be some redundancies in the procedural school-based handbook that is further elaborated on or supported by a district policy that's been approved. Bullying is one of those examples. If Bartlett does anything different, if there are things that different in the sense as long as it's following the policy, but there might be some procedural nuances that are specific to the developmental age of their schools, then that might be articulated differently within the handbook, within the school-based section of the handbook. The one thing that Ms. Nieves just said before, one of those examples was the special education procedures around discipline for students with IEPs. So I think that in the moving things around, one of the things that I noticed in the Bartlett handbook is that was included in the policy section, but the procedure, even though it's the same, and DESE wanted those procedures the same across the 3 schools, it's not a policy, and it should not live in the school policy section. Do you know what, do you understand what I'm saying? They might be consistent. It's, DESI wants the language to be the same across the 3 schools, but it has not come before school committee for approval. It should not live in the district-approved policy section of the handbook.
That's right.
Does that make sense? That might be one of the changes, and I'm not sure, I haven't seen the other two. It's confusing because there is a district policy around student discipline, but what DESI pretty much ordered us to do was to have a uniform section of the procedural things. And if that has not come before school committee for approval to be included in our district policy, then it can't yet live in the district policy section. Does that make sense? Okay.
I think a good goal moving forward would be to have all of our district-wide policies live on the website and eliminate them from handbooks altogether. Refer parents and students to the website to be able to view them. They can then be updated once and not have to be updated again. Certainly, I think that procedures that are not approved by school committee or that may be unique to an individual school building should be, number one, under the authority of the building principal to set them and adjust them as necessary in collaboration with the superintendent, but may be unique. But there are certain things, you know, whether it be harassment, for example, those should be district-wide policies and not a Bartlett High School policy. So I think we're definitely moving in the right direction, certainly more work to be done, and probably a learning of, you know, we want to start this process before the school year ends in order to have ourselves in better position for the opening of school, you know?
I think one of the things we need to consider is when there is a TFM, a tiered focus monitoring review, or any kind of special ed review, if it's DESI's expectation that the policies live within the handbooks, then I think we need to do that, because we would get cited for things not living in the handbooks. There are some exceptions to what DESI accepts as like electronic things, like what can be considered a student record, for instance, that lives in an electronic platform versus what used to be in the CUME folders. I'm not sure what the expectation is around like an audit of some kind, where they pretty much say, under this element, we need your handbook so that we can check your policies. And if they live only on the website and not in the handbooks, then that would be problematic for us. So we just have to vet that through DESI first.
That makes sense.
And in all fairness to the schools, this was something that was done in my office. So pulling out the district policies, we had to sit and go through the policy manual because we don't have everything all in one spot. For years, we have some on the website, some in a handbook, some on computers. So searching for a policy and getting the most up-to-date policy, we had to go through and look, and that took time. And then we weren't ready for the July. We started working on this, and then life happened, and that happened. And so, you know, principals have been waiting for this for some time. So this is my office. This is a lapse in my office, which is the reason why they're scrambling tonight to get it into the handbook. So I just want to make sure you understand that this is something that I own. And certainly it's an area we know we need to work on. It's an area that we will continue to work on to make sure. But, you know, just going through this alone in July and August, like, we need some work on our policies to make sure that there's no even an easy way to find. You know, you're looking through computers from other people that were here 2 or 3 times ago to say, where's the most updated, when was the last time it was updated, making sure we're consistent. So I get the confusion.
That's understandable, and clearly work is being done on them, so, you know, nowhere to go but up, I suppose, right? And certainly want to recognize the amount of time and effort that's gone into updating these policies and the handbooks and things like that. And, you know, I can't speak for the whole committee, but I would say that my belief is that any questions or recommendations and things like that are coming from a place of wanting you all to have put your best foot forward in these handbooks when we give them to our students. So, yeah, Ms. Sarah?
So I just want to add on a positive note that all of the changes that DESI had made through the corrective action plan have been incorporated in all of the handbooks. And Dr. Mackay did an excellent job explaining the difference between policy and procedures, and what makes this a monumental task is having both in a handbook, because the policies are approved by the school committee. We've already visited that, but the procedures lend themselves to the policy, and they're an elaboration and more descriptive of the policy, which makes it really complicated. So we try to balance our school committee approved policies with our procedures that include the corrective action, and that's what makes it very complicated.
For sure.
Through the chair,
Member Scriglia?
just one more thing, just for the future too, because I think we know that Massachusetts passed the cell phone policy legislation, and it doesn't, when I read it, it didn't necessarily seem to specify at what point in the day is like no phones acceptable. I know we have, once it's in the class, when we're in the classroom, it goes away, we don't see it, it's gone. But maybe in the future for next year, because I think it needs to be somewhere next year, potentially the 26th school year, even during like common spaces or common time, no cell phones. And I know, I don't know how that will suit well with our student community, but I mean, we all know that cell phones are very, truly harmful. So just in the future, maybe, in the classroom, and we can vote on it, but maybe in common spaces, lunchtime, free time, also, no cell phones.
Thank
To
you.
be that person.
Right. Well,
Right.
Yeah.
Good.
And just so you know, MASC came out and they're receiving a lot of questions about model policies and stuff like that. And they have no plans to issue a single model policy right now. So they're recommending that districts have local conversations and include students, families, and staff when drafting a policy and putting it in the handbook. So it's not going to be one set policy that comes out. They understand that it's going to be by district.
For the cell phones.
Yeah, so we get those updates regularly from MASC to follow policies, which is another area that we follow when updating.
Thank you. Ms. Davis, I have some minutia here to address. Formatting, page 19, I think there was some, I don't recall exactly what the specifics were, but maybe it was a bulleted list. The bullets were not our friend, I think, when we converted these to PDF. So it may be something that is a non-issue in your original document,
Okay.
but wanted to raise that up for you.
Because you guys have the PDF.
Right,
Okay.
right. So it may look perfectly fine
Yep.
to you, and if that's the case, then great, as long as you're not sending out PDFs to all the students and families.
Yeah, so I will look at the PDF.
Okay, all right, great. I love the behavioral matrices as well. And the clarity around tardies
Yeah.
and throwing away the coffee if somebody shows up late but they had time to get their coffee.
They get angry with that one.
I know, nice touch. Question about the Chromebook piece. Is there any consequence for students who frequently come in without a Chromebook and need to use paper and pencil?
Besides them having to do that paper and pencil, not right now, no.
Okay. We'll see.
They
Maybe
were-
we won't need it once they have to pick up a pencil and,
I hope not.
right, okay, fair enough. All right. We may have already talked about this, but with regard to the parking, we're anticipating a shortage of parking. Any thoughts on how we're going to handle, how are we going to determine who gets a parking pass and who doesn't? Have we
So-
talked about that?
We have already sent out forms to did they go out to the students already too? Not yet. So that's going to be going out. It's already gone out to our staff. So I was able to move all of our staff to one parking lot and completely eliminate them from the other parking lot where I was split between two. So the students will be more of a first come, first serve based on how many spots we have
Okay.
once that document goes out.
I think we also talked a little bit about some of the other criteria that'll be used is if students are in internships and they need a car to get to the internship, that would take a priority over first come, first serve. And then we also talked about seniors get priority over juniors. So I think there are some prioritization that while they'll have the opportunity to get their application in, then there'll be some application of those types of criteria that should be applied to it.
We might consider documenting that
Mhm.
so that we can be transparent with how parking is provided
Yes.
or how those decisions are made.
Okay.
Anything else from the committee? All right. So what are the thoughts around the parking piece? Is that handbook material or
Yes,
how
I
are we
can
going to
actually
deal with
update
that?
that in the next day or two,
Okay,
the order, and I can put it right in here, and then we can send it.
okay. So is perhaps we will review both the middle school and the high school handbook on a Zoom meeting before the start of school? Is that?
We're gonna have to, because we need
Okay.
handbooks for the start of school. So it's not something I'll probably be able to do until next week. And we need 2 days to post, so maybe we could do,
We could post it at least and then work back from there.
yeah, we could do maybe Monday evening or Tuesday evening.
All right. And the next item on the agenda is the coaching handbook.
Couple changes, or additions, I should say. Mr. Paranto is not here, so I'm going to do my best. One of the, so that book serves for coaches/students, but it's really geared towards coaches, but anything that is student-related that we've updated is in that book as well as my handbook. So the first one is regarding the equipment and the uniforms. We just spoke about the not when to wear and when not to wear uniforms, how to return them, that they're responsible for the uniforms and the equipment that they are provided. We spoke about locker room, keeping it clean, not leaving everything out. We tightened it up. We looked at different policies, and we didn't have that before, so we've added that in, and emptying out the lockers after. The other big piece that we did was the travel. It was asked about the students, riding in their own transportation. So Mr. Paranto and the team added in that players must ride to and from out-of-town games on school-owned or chartered buses. Players may not travel to an away athletic contest in private transportation and participate in a game without the express permission of the athletic director. And that all athletes are reminded that when visiting other schools, Bartlett's the guest, so we spoke about the way they should behave, being reasonable and courteous, respecting the other school's facilities, and dressing for the occasion, being inappropriate and wearing the appropriate attire. There weren't other major changes in that book. That's all I have for the coaches handbook.
Any questions or comments from the committee?
Through the chair.
Member Scriglia?
Just quickly, because it makes me chuckle, it makes me laugh. For the concussion policy, I'm sure it's still very, very relevant. But looking at the developers, I mean, Mr. Hackinson, Mr. Peon, Mr. Langevin, so they're all, I don't know where they are right now, but they don't work here. Great
I'll
guys.
have them look at it to make sure that it's
Great
updated.
guys, yeah, no, yeah, so, but if you can just, I don't know, it'd be good, nice to have your name on it and Mr. Paranto's, Coach Paranto's.
Thank you.
One comment that I have, it's probably a question more so for Mr. Paranto. So coach's evaluation, there's something in here that just basically says if the coach's performance is deemed to not be meeting the required standards. There's nothing in here about how coaches are evaluated. It's something, I don't think it should necessarily hold back the handbook, but certainly something that should be fleshed out.
Okay.
you know, if coaches are being evaluated, whether it be by athletes or by the athletic director or what that looks like, how someone would be determined to not be meeting those standards. Any other comments or questions about this handbook? Member Adamopoulos?
Is participation form part of this?
Say that again, sorry.
The participation form
Oh, I didn't see that, actually.
Number
Said
6,
no change.
F3.
built in it?
This does not live in the handbook. This is given to the students.
Separate code?
Is it something,
Do you have
to be
this?
looked at?
Yeah, it's 6.
Yeah,
Okay.
It's not part of the handbook.
okay.
Right.
Is it something that we need to be approving?
No, I
was
think it
Mr.
was just an
Adamopoulos' question.
FYI. It was something that was put in last year to send just a notice.
Mm-hmm. Okay. All right. Any other questions or comments with regard to the coach's handbook? Hearing none, I'll entertain a motion to approve this handbook as presented.
To the chair, though, are you expecting this coach evaluation in here first?
I think that it's
there-
it's
I
up to
thought
the
there
committee
used to
on
be
what the
one.
desire
There
is there.
There is an evaluation form for coaches.
But it's not in here, right?
So I know they get evaluated, I'm pretty sure, by the athletic director, right?
I thought there really was. one.
Yeah, there is a form.
So it's accepted with the inclusion of
The form.
the coach evaluation?
We certainly, I mean, that's certainly an option on the table. Do you want to make a motion, Member Millet?
Well, where else would it be? Has it always been included in the handbook?
The form, no. And in fact,
No.
the handbook hasn't been, there was no language about evaluation removed from the handbook, to my knowledge.
No.
It's more so an observation on my part that it would be helpful to spell out, just like the parking piece,
The
like,
how.
how are we evaluating coaches? So if it's the desire of the committee to hold back the handbook until that's spelled out this year, you know, that's certainly an option. I made that recommendation as sort of a future direction, but I'm only one. So if that's your desire, you're welcome to make a motion
It
for that.
does bring up coach evaluation, but
Right.
very briefly
Mhm.
in here. So if you bring it up, maybe the form should be in there.
Okay. The form,
I
maybe,
don't know, is there an evaluation?
It wasn't, it hasn't been in the
there's-
past, no.
there
It
hasn't
hasn't been.
historically been any evaluation forms included. There's no, you know, teacher evaluation forms
Okay.
included in the
Right.
staff
Alright.
employee handbook and that sort of thing. And certainly, you know, I don't want to shut down the suggestion. My thought was more so around just stating that coaches would be evaluated and by whom.
Okay.
And that kind of thing. But
Okay.
Through the chair,
Member Scriglia?
I think we need to do it now, because I think we'll probably we don't want to miss it next year either, because I can't imagine, we'll probably have the same conversation on trying to approve it, like, oh, weren't we supposed to put this in? Do you know what I mean?
Sure.
So doing it now, I think, would probably be the best route while it's fresh in our brains.
Is it the desire of the committee to table the coaches handbook?
I think give Mr. Pronto, Coach Pronto, the chance to define that language in there, and we can approve it when we approve the others.
You
Okay.
just want who's evaluating?
Yeah, and I think being clear that it's
Because
through
we're
a,
not going to put the evaluation in the handbook.
no, but say there is an evaluation tool or will be evaluated.
Is it at the end of the season? Is it, you know, what interval are coaches being evaluated? And I don't believe any of us are suggesting at this juncture that we have the tool in there, but
Right.
saying that they will be
Because it
evaluated
says
by
a
whom.
coaches meeting, each coach scheduled at the end of the year conference with the athletic director as soon as all duties are completed and receive a non-binding evaluation. So it's received by the athletic director.
But that's not in here.
Yes,
Yes,
it is.
it's here under coaches
Yes.
meeting.
There's very little. I think there should be more explanation
More,
about it.
My recommendation was solely indicating who was completing the evaluation for the coach.
And it says that here, the athletic director and completed and receive a non-binding evaluation. So they meet with the athletic director and receive a non-binding evaluation. And then it goes on to say if it's not meeting the standards, the athletic director has the option of instituting goals and then non-renewing the contract for the following year.
Mhm.
It must be.
Do you want more than that?
I'm not,
I'm at page 3.
So my recommendation was simply to state, I understand, Mrs. Perangeli, what you're saying, that above coach's evaluation, the sentence reads, each coach shall schedule an end-of-year conference with the athletic director as soon as all duties are completed and receive a non-binding evaluation. Perhaps we could either, in that section, say, who's doing the evaluation? Is it something that, is the athletic director evaluating the coach? Or is somebody else doing the evaluation? I understand the athletic director is issuing it. That was just my observation. And because the next section just says if it's deemed to not be meeting, what the options are.
Okay. I take that as the athletic director is doing the evaluation.
Okay. Does that work? Okay. Okay. Perfect. Are we okay with having a motion to approve this? Any other comments or concerns about this handbook?
Are we, through the chair?
Member
Are
Scrivia?
we cool to change the names under the concussion, or are we, is that, I don't, is
Yeah,
that?
we're good with that.
Okay. I love those men. Those men are great.
Aren't they?
Like I said.
Flashback.
Yeah, that right. I read the names. I had to laugh. I'm like, Mr. Langevin. Okay. All right.
It's an old handbook.
Yeah. Right. So yeah, just update those after everybody reviews the concussion protocol. Make sure it's to date with all the whatever a concussed kid looks like.
So I will entertain a motion to approve the coach's handbook with the necessary updates to the people who are referenced in the handbook. There's a motion and a second. Desiree, would you please poll the committee?
Yes.
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 Yes. Motion passes. The next item on the agenda is the approval of a fundraising organization, the Park Ave Elementary PTO.
Is the form in there?
I have a form here. I think it's in the packet. So I can begin.
Sure.
Alicia Smith has submitted an application to have the Park Ave PTO be recognized. It's, the purpose of the group is to pay for field trips and other fun things for students and staff. The president would be Alicia Smith. And we have a vice president of Jennifer Gardner. And secretary would be Lindsay Jodry. Is that how I pronounce that? And they provide, they're a 501c3 organization with a tax ID number. Are there any questions or comments related to the Park Ave PTO? Hearing none, I'll entertain a motion to approve this application to renew the Park Ave PTO fundraising organization.
So moved.
Second.
There's a motion and a second. Desiree, would you please poll the committee?
Yes.
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 Yes, motion passes. The next item on the agenda is the review, transfer, signing of warrants, bills, payroll, and vouchers.
Sorry for the hard work, team.
I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second?
There's a motion and a second. Desiree, would you please poll the committee?
Yes.
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 Yes, meeting adjourned. Good night, everyone.